Hello and welcome to the Three Wide Men podcast. This week I'm with Watford's finest, Jack Stewart,
I'll take that.
the Swindon Supermarine, Johnny Leafield, and if you haven't noticed already, the new host, myself, Liam Lyons. Instead of hosting, I've stolen it off of Jack this week for the post 2016-17 season.
We held an
podcast.
election. And,
Jack
Liam's
got
been
kicked
voted
out.
in, I've been kicked out.
So obviously yesterday was the general election result, and we found out that we're no longer going to get cheaper train tickets for fans, so that's gone out the window. And May out aeroplane banners are in full flight at the Conservatives as well, which I'm sure many Arsenal fans will help get funded. So, just start off. How are you guys today? You alright?
A little bit sleepy, to be fair. I didn't go to bed till 4 watching election stuff and still woke up early. But yeah. I'm alright. Exams are done. Happy days.
Yeah, I'm very tired as well. I was double screening it last night on the Stanley Cup finals and the elections.
How did that go, Stanley Cup?
Well, the Penguins won 6-0 last night.
Nice.
So they're 3-2 up, 2 games to go. 1 game in each team's home stadium. Hopefully the Penguins can win that and give me a bit of joy for once.
Nice.
The team you support actually succeeds.
Yeah.
So, to a more sombre moment, on Monday, the 5th of June, the news broke that the 30-year-old Ivorian midfielder Cheick Tiote collapsed at training whilst in China with the second division side, Beijing Enterprises. He made 150 appearances with Newcastle and 52 caps for Ivory Coast. He started his career in, I think it's Bibo, as a teenager before he moved to Team Anderlecht, then went to FC20 with Steve McLaren, and then moved to Newcastle in 2010 for 3.5 million.
Bargain.
He sort of gained, in terms of the English game, a cult status after the cult status of quite an industrial midfielder. If you didn't see him get a yellow card, you'd be quite surprised. Those sort of tags, and usually became one of those teams that if he played well, then Newcastle usually won. And then in the 2011 game at the St James's Park against Arsenal, where he scored the sort of infamous volley,
Legendary.
when Newcastle were 4-0 down at half time, and his goal was sort of the cherry on top moment where they managed to draw level 4-4.
His goal scoring record is definitely quality over quantity, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it, certainly so. So I just wanted to know what you guys remember of Cheick Tiote and what sort of his legacy for you was in the Premier League and stuff.
Yeah, well, I think you kind of covered it with I really liked Tiote because he was just such a hard worker, and yeah, you knew he was always going to get a card sort of thing, but he was always battling. He was perfect sort of player for the Premier League, and I think he was absolutely key for Newcastle. And yeah, it's very, very sad news. Do we know if it was it his heart?
Yeah, it was a heart. He had a
So
cardiac arrest.
It's horrible, and obviously his wife was expecting, isn't she? And you never want to hear that of anyone, especially. And I think it's something that kind of hits closer to home when it's a player that you've watched for many years. But yeah, no, he was a fantastic player. Very, very good defensive midfielder.
Yeah, I think he suited Newcastle really well because that's the sort of something they won't stand for up there is people who don't put the effort in. And he would always run around and tackling, putting himself about, and I don't think you can really ask for much more than that in any player. So again, sort of second your thoughts. It's just really sad that someone gets taken away that young.
Yeah. So all we can really say is hopefully rest in peace and sort of condolences to the family really, and hope they can sort of get the support they need. So moving on to, obviously we haven't spoken much about the Champions League final, I don't think, in the last one. So what did you guys make of Real Madrid, and do you think they were worthy winners?
They were. I mean, Juventus were the better team for me in the first half, and I was really impressed with them. I was kind of rooting for Juve, for like Buffon especially, and just have a bit of a change. But Real Madrid were fantastic, and I'd like to give credit as well to Zidane, because I think Zidane actually, to give him credit, obviously I know you could say the same with like Pep at Barcelona. Like, he's got an amazing squad, but he actually in the Champions League final he set up tactically brilliantly. He's the only man who really challenged Juve's midfield and actually obviously he had the players, but to actually dominate midfield with Kroos and Modric. And Modric said in training that Juventus are fantastic at defending headers and clearing sort of thing. So Real Madrid purposely training practice cutting the ball back from out wide, and you saw the Juventus defenders were always sat really deep, which left that space on the edge of the box, and a couple of Madrid's goals came from that. So it was very well spotted, very well worked out by Zidane. He deserves credit.
Yeah, I think we sort of discussed at the time that it's all, like we said with Pep, it's all very well having that good squad, but like Rafa proved, it's not the easiest thing. Not every man and his dog can walk in and off the street and just go and win, Champions League and win the league and that. So yeah, I think you've got to give a lot of credit to Zidane for just making Juve's midfield absolutely anonymous in that final. And it was actually, still talking about the game generally, it was actually a really good game to watch. Like normally, like the Champions League final with the Madrid derby, like last year, that was a bit kind of cagey because they were both, so keen to not let anything.
Yeah,
slip.
both teams played with confidence.
It literally both teams came out like we're just gonna score more than you, and sort of that's sort of how it turned out. But special shout out to Mandzukic with his goal as well.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. It's just such a shame that. Just such
Dogs
a shame.
across the street heard my scream.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just such a shame that it is just like a meaningless goal, isn't it? Because at the time it could have been, like one to remember, whereas people might not remember it as much because it wasn't a winning goal or the winning team's goal. But yeah, Real Madrid they just seem to coast through. Like no one's made mentions of them becoming, like the Guardiolas, Barcelona being, the best in the world. Like obviously they aren't. But like, it's not quite the same hype about this Real Madrid team because maybe their style of play isn't as interesting, but it's dominant. But they just seem to know what they're expected to do. They enjoy sort of like the build up to the final. They were ready to win, which most teams wouldn't have that. There would be quite a lot of pressure. And they might, crumble, but they just seem to just keep moving and going through the gears. And I feel like they haven't really shown the best of them yet. I still feel like
that team is not as good as it could be, which is a scary thought.
You think if that team actually had to work for it?
Yeah, if you had sort of, I don't know. I think if you look at Real Madrid at the moment, they've won 3 out of the last 4 European Cups, and I think they're very what's the word? They mirror Zidane. Like they're very much. You can see Zidane. They're efficient. Mm-hmm. They don't. Like you said, they don't play the most exciting football. They're not. I don't know. However they go about it, it's just very eco efficient. They just win, and they just
win.
They just do it well. Like they just
do
what they have to do.
You say it's the tactics. They know a weakness, and they capitalise on it, and that's all they need to do. And they're quite solid at defence, so they don't have to rely on scoring. They can score, as they say in La Liga. They can score, early on and score 4 or 5, but. When it comes to the tough games, they made Juventus, who, they really they wanted to win desperately this year because of what happened, in previous years. So it just shows that there is still a lack in the Italian game, and especially with Juventus, that they just can't seem to take that next step, which was is a bit of a shame in terms of Buffon's role in the game, but also. Whether it's because it doesn't seem the same Real Madrid as like the Galacticos of recent years, but it kind of still is because obviously they still can buy whoever they want. And you look at Juventus, who sort of pick up free players, where they can and do really well in the market, and they win the league every year. But there is something lacking in the Italian game or in Juventus's game that they just can't seem to take that step. Which
it's kind of like the Scottish League as well, because it's sort of like when you're dominate your league, how do you improve? How do you get better, sort of thing? Yeah. And Juventus, to be honest, they have a little bit of challenge. I mean, like Napoli are very good. I'm a big fan of Napoli, but I mean, other than them and Roma, they haven't really been tested the last 2 seasons. It's kind of always been their league titles. So maybe AC Milan next season, if with the investment they're receiving, can try, and that's what you need.
Yeah. Sort
of thing. It's always you need competition. It's obviously. You get the competition, they did well in the Champions League, and you learn from games like that. You learn from the finals and things like that, which is huge for them. But you need to be playing good teams all the time.
The interesting thing is like there's definitely the two Milan teams are definitely going to be stepping up, but they've definitely stepped up in money because obviously they're backing. But it depends whether they can attract the same players because they're definitely not attracting the same level of play. Even though they've got the money, I feel like there's not that pull to go to Italy as much anymore. Whereas so that is definitely still a big challenge. But John, I don't know if you've got anything else to say, because I'll add something but I've forgotten. So.
No, I was just going to say, I know a lot of English people kind of wail on the Italian game quite a lot, but I watched Totti's last game. Who was it they played? Genoa. And Genoa gave them a really good. I'm sure they were struggling. Like Genoa was struggling to stay up. Like I think they just about stayed up. But it was such a good game to watch. Yeah. Like just so on Roma, I think Roma needed to win to come second, so like automatic Champions League qualification. And it was such a good game. Like it was end to end, and Genoa had nothing to play for. And then people say about the integrity of the Premier League. I feel like I'd like to give some credit to the Italian league because I didn't really watch it that much, and I would probably have been of that opinion that defensive is a bit boring and slow. But the games that I've seen, like I saw a couple when we were out in Barca as well, and I really liked watching it. Like, I was quite impressed by the skill and like the style of football that's played at. I think there's definitely a misconception. People are possibly stuck from their views of watching, whatever the old football highlights program in Italy was called. But I think I can. I mean, we'd have to go into it like quite a lot, but I don't think there's anything simple that can happen to Italy. I mean, at the end of the day, they've got Champions League final, and England aren't doing that. No team from England's got to. So, just give them a bit of credit, but I'm not sure.
That was it. I've remembered now. They obviously lost Pogba, which obviously some people might say he might not have that much influence, but he was in that final a few years ago, and he could have been a difference in that midfield. This year if he was.
Well, I thought Juventus was just their style. They was like they were hoofing it. They literally the reason their midfield didn't get in the games because for whatever reason. Is it Allegri? Who's in charge now? Yeah, Allegri just set up to basically pick out Mandzukic and sort of Dybala was getting the knockdowns, but
who did they play in the semi-final?
It seemed I'm not sure why he decided to set up like that.
Isn't it? It was Monaco, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I feel like that obviously might have worked for Monaco, and then it's not quite done the same thing for them. But
because who was it? They rested one of their. I'm trying to remember who it was. One of their centre mids who was on the bench, and so a lot of people were saying. If they played in, they might have had a better control of the. They might have had more control on getting up their team now.
Okay. Well, I'll maybe move it on just whilst you have a look quickly, because it's only a little passing thing I want to comment. Do you think Ronaldo's odds on to get the Ballon d'Or this year match Messi with the fourth? Because he's won Europa Championship, La Liga, and the Champions League, and he's had a brilliant week in terms of topping the Forbes wealthiest athletes again as well, with Messi third. So.
You will receive it,
It's been quite a year.
So Messi's money's actually gone to the taxman for once. I presume... Did he not win Euros last year? Then does that not count for last year's award?
No, because I think...
Yeah, I thought he did get it last year after the Euros, didn't he?
Oh, was it? I
think so.
Yeah, surely.
But he still won the league.
Because I thought, well...
He still won
They've won the league and then he keeps
League,
scoring the Champions League, so...
He'll probably.
If Portugal win the Confederations Cup,
anyway, he's had a good.
There's literally no way you won't win it.
Yeah,
that's I know Confederations Cup, but still.
But yeah.
Yeah, Juve midfielder I was thinking of was Marquisio.
Oh right.
So I mean, like,
who did they have?
They had Pjanic and Khedira, who obviously in their own right great midfielders, but you would have added a bit of class and just a bit more control.
I would have liked to have seen. Pjanic further up in sort of the final third rather than centre mid as well, but I feel like he might.
He sort of had a lot.
Like if he had, like you say, if you had Marquisio from behind, then he could have got into the box and maybe caused them a bit more trouble. But talk about Forbes as well. This week, United were top Forbes most valuable club, and this was worked out on the equity plus net debt, revenues, and operating income. So it was around £2.86 billion. The United end up just tipping Barcelona, who are in second.
Real Madrid dropped from first to third.
Yeah, and we had and Jack noted as well.
Europa League's greater than Champions League, sort of.
And there was an interesting point of He was out of 20 clubs on the list, and 19th were Leicester. And we were saying that's obviously maybe because of the Champions League exploits and winning the league, but just a little shout out for them to get on.
Now everyone in America's heard of Leicester FC.
Yeah.
Love it.
So just an interesting little bit of news there. So let's get to the best of the summer, all we can hope for, transfers.
Love it.
Right.
Good stuff.
So I'm going to start off with Romelu Lukaku and his potential moves to Chelsea, and what consequently leads to Diego Costa sort of stating that he's no longer wanted, and appears to be, so far we know, he's heading to AC Milan. So I just wanted to get your sort of guys' general thoughts on Lukaku, and then we'll move on to Costa, and I've got a little quote afterwards. So yeah, what thoughts on Lukaku really?
Yeah, it sort of has to be Chelsea really, because I don't think, unless Man U come in for him, I think I'd love to see him at Liverpool, but if that'd be controversial, I don't think it'll ever happen, especially with the Everton roots. Yeah, I mean, I think I love Lukaku. He's a great striker, and I think we forget how young he is still, and his goal scoring record is excellent. I know he didn't have the best end to the season, but I have a feeling that was because his eyes were elsewhere. He knows he doesn't need to put himself in a transfer window, because he was for a long time was up there for the Golden Boot. But yeah, he's a great striker. He's strong, good with his feet. He can do it all, and yeah, it'd be good for Chelsea.
That's what I thought was a bit of a shame about him though, and would make me worry if I was a fan. That as soon as he had decided that he didn't want to be at Everton anymore, he didn't stop caring, but there was definitely an attitude change, and when you looked at him on the pitch, he appeared to either feel like he was more than the other players or more than the club, and when it didn't go quite right, you saw him maybe moan a bit more about certain balls that were not making it to him, and I definitely saw an attitude change when usually he's very composed, very modest.
Yeah.
For such a young player, I thought he's definitely changed, and I don't know whether that's the agent getting into his head or whatever, thinking you should put yourself up to this because you're a better player, so you should have this sort of attitude. But and you're clearly better than this club, and he's sort of taken that on in a wrong way, I think, and that did affect him, and he did get punished in a way in terms of changing
it, didn't it, halfway through the season, because when I was doing the work experience at TalkSport, they almost went into meltdown because Jim White had been on and said that he was definitely signing a contract, he was definitely staying at Everton, and then it came out and it was like, oh no, I'm leaving, and then there was a big shock there because obviously their main source, and he kind of mugged them off a bit. So there was something changed there, and he spoke, didn't he, about how he wants trophies, he wants medals, and I think he's probably coming to that point in his career where he does need to take the step up and stay at the big step if he really wants to get there. And I mean, yeah, he's got a chance for Chelsea. It's going to be an open title race.
Yeah, I mean, he's never going to win anything at Everton. No disrespect, I quite like Everton, but they're just that club that they're just never going to win anything. I think I have reservations about it. I think I'm not sure what it is with him. I don't really like using the phrase "working hard," but I'm not. You possibly question whether he works as hard as a Drogba or a Costa. I mean, Costa can overstep the line, and he does. But I think that's what Conte wants. That he wants someone like that. I think Lukaku's definitely strong enough, but you think, is he prepared to work at Conte's level? If he is, then the chances come his way. He should work out. It'll be like David Luiz, sort of my flatmate said about, David Luiz was a liability when he was first at Chelsea. He then went away, came back, and he's turned out to be, absolute linchpin in their defence. So from a Chelsea point of view, you hope that the same thing happens with Lukaku. Like, they sold him on. Yeah. He turns out, he was actually quite good because they didn't want to take the risk. Then he comes back and does a job for them for 5 or so years.
Yeah, I mean, Conte's a very smart man. Like, if they get Lukaku and Costa leaves, and that's definitely a very calculated decision. That Conte knows what he's doing. He's probably, obviously, it's been a bit of talk about tapping out, but there's no way Conte probably hasn't spoken to Lukaku at some point.
But that happens in every single transfer. Liverpool were possibly a little bit hard done by about that.
But so we'll discuss that a bit later as well. But
I thought it was a little bit strange that I couldn't believe it was real that Conte had apparently texted Costa to say you're not in my plans anymore.
But I'm still sceptical about that because there can always be some kind of agent mind games or footballer mind games.
That doesn't seem right. I don't know.
But
I mean,
it's very interesting that he has come out and said it anyway, because that's clearly a statement that Chelsea are not going to get as much for him now, because it means
he wants to leave.
that either he wants
He's
to
gone.
leave or the club want him out.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, you want to sell him, so why are we going to give you more money than you know? But I just wanted to know that I saw after these sort of rumours came out about Costa and his statement, John Cross of the Daily Mirror tweeted, "Got to say, I'll really miss Diego Costa. Great character, always a story, and above all, a bloody good player." Do you agree with that, or?
He's a good player. So I don't know, because Balotelli was a big character, and I found Balotelli hilarious and entertaining.
Yeah.
Diego Costa is just infuriating.
That's why I thought it was quite interesting to say great character, because every time I've seen him, he just seems.
He's quite a good character, isn't he? On the training ground, they were showing that, and like he's a man child, isn't he?
Mm.
By the looks of things, but
I think a lot of footballers are.
yeah, definitely. But I don't know if I'll necessarily.
I
I have all respect in the world for him as a player, and as annoying as he is, what he does is very intelligent, and I respect that how badly he wants to win, to have those like sort of like mishaps and sort of things. But
yeah, and he is clearly, obviously, he has been a big player for Chelsea, because in his 3 seasons at Chelsea on the Premier League website, it states that Chelsea, every time they won the league in the past 3 years, so obviously twice, he scored 20 goals in both seasons.
Yeah.
So Lukaku's definitely going to have to take a key role if he does go there, or not just in terms of scoring goals, but being relied upon a lot more than he is at Everton. He won't be able to drift out of games, I don't think.
No, that's true.
Yeah, that would be my one question mark, whether he's prepared to work hard enough, work at Conte's level, because working hard, and there's a level above that.
Yeah.
You know, so that would be the only reservation. If he can do that, then he will actually fulfil his potential, and he could be one of the best strikers in the world. But
it'd be good to see how sort of. I mean, Everton don't have a bad squad by any means, but sometimes Everton haven't. No one really played that well this season, but like Everton had some very bad spots, and I think they coincided with. I think it was more. I don't know if it was more of a case of Everton were bad when Lukaku was bad, or Lukaku was bad when Everton were bad, sort of thing. As a striker, is only because he's not really like the Aguero type of striker where he'll create something out of nothing.
Well, that's
very
debatable, because he's got the strength and power to create something.
I think I'd have to agree with Jack. I don't see very rarely.
Which goal was it that he scored outside the box, and he literally just picked it up himself, carried it, cut it inside, and scored a beautiful goal, and that was all him. That was all. So he has got it in him. He's got it in him. So he needs. It's not like
he's more a poacher.
Well, I think that's a bit harsh. I think he's better than that, but I just think he just doesn't do it enough, and that's my question mark. But I feel like he could be that one player to carry the team. I think, like the same level as like an Ibrahimovic, where like Ibrahimovic he doesn't just stay in the box. He does do that as his main goal, but like the goal against Sunderland was all Ibrahimovic, and I think Lukaku's got that same sort of style, which is creating it yourself and sort of knowing where the goal is without even looking. But yeah, and then sort of moving on, we've touched on it, is Liverpool and sort of the mess with Virgil van Dijk. So what I wanted to sort of discuss is sort of the general issue of tapping up a player, Liverpool's apology, and how they move forward from this.
Well, tapping up happens in every transfer that's ever existed since John, what's his fucking name, Bosman.
But the interesting thing here is even though it happens all the time, don't you think it was strange that Liverpool bought so many players from Southampton, and this time they didn't talk to the club once? That's what this issue is about. They went straight to Van Dijk and didn't talk. And it's like, that shows a very big disrespect from Liverpool in terms of they've bought 5 players, or probably more than that.
Is this the first one that Jurgen Klopp's bought from them, or was trying to buy?
Did they get Lovren last year, or was that under?
I thought that was 2 years ago.
Because we were joking about that, didn't we? At the time, it was that Liverpool to the point are so used to signing players from Southampton, they just sort of like went about their business, kind of went just into bought a pilot, and were like, oh yeah, so the next one, it was like, yeah, I'll be, you promote me to the first team now, come to Liverpool.
Yeah. But what do you think that says about the club, Liverpool, and where they move on?
I wonder if they would just, because they've got competition for him, and I think it'd be such a key signing for them, I wonder if they would just panicked and they sort of tried too hard to rush the deal
I don't understand that because he said he wanted to go to Liverpool, so there's no need to rush.
Really?
Surely you just go. You just
It
do
was
it in
between
the
them and
league,
Chelsea,
you-
but then Man City suddenly came in with a lot
Yeah,
of
Man
money
City
as well.
wanted to, but then he said he wanted to go to Liverpool, which
So
I
was
found
that because
strange
of
at the time.
was that because Klopp kept ringing him instead of going to the club and then to it?
But yeah, the thing is, I just
There
don't
was
know
a
who
lot
it
of
was
interest
because
in
if you
that.
don't, and it was Klopp's first, foray to Southampton, you think maybe he might have had something to do with it, or if someone, because I can't imagine the people at the high level have mostly been there for years now, so you would have expected them to kind of go about it the right way. I think that's it's a huge mistake from Liverpool because if they had have got him, that would have been one of their best signings
what they
in
needed.
years.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because, they're signing all these wingers and midfielders and there's sort of forward players, but it's so often happens. Like Man City's biggest problem is their defence. Liverpool's biggest problem is their defence. If you get someone like a Virgil van Dijk, that is a massive problem solved. Because then you stop conceding goals. And your forward players can go and win games. Whereas Liverpool could have won the league last year had they have had any sort of competent defence. Their defence is terrible.
Yeah.
That's why
It's
an average
shocking.
championship team.
Yeah.
That's rubbish.
And that's why I wonder where it leaves them now. Because I'm trying to think of centre backs on the market, whether they try and hijack United's bid for Lindelof if they've ended
Who's
their
it?
interest there.
Someone was after Bonucci. Was it Chelsea?
That was Chelsea. It was something like 48 million and Matic.
And
was the
Matic,
rumour I saw
yeah.
for Bonucci.
If I was Chelsea, I'd be like, see you later.
For how
Bye,
old
Matic.
Bonucci is, I'm not too sure about that. But
Yeah, and they're both
There you
30
go.
plus.
Obviously, like Saka was apparently did amazingly at Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
So maybe they just keep hold of him.
I think he's a good player for Palace. I don't think he's Liverpool's caliber. There's a very big difference.
I mean, everyone was bigging him up, but when we saw him, he was absolutely dreadful.
Yeah.
He could barely control the
I
ball.
think all 22 men on that pitch.
he
were
kept
terrible,
looking.
to be
He
fair,
kept
but-
looking like he was going to fall over the ball. Every
Yeah,
time he
yeah,
had it at his
he
feet.
looked-
It was-
I've seen him a couple of times on telly, and he did play quite well. But
Yeah, I mean, he was good at PSG.
I think there's a very big because people are also his Premier League quality. Well, in the greatest of respect, there is a big difference between Watford and Liverpool / Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
That sort of team. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of players.
Well,
that you
but it's
get-
also-
Liverpool want to be.
But it's
Yeah.
also, I think, as well, the education. Like when it comes to the training, I don't know how much Liverpool would do on defending because they defend from the front. So a lot of it is probably pressure.
No, it's
Whereas Crystal Palace, it's sit back, let the midfielders help. I don't know if Liverpool's midfield help the defence that much.
No.
So,
But that's why it's so important for them to sign a good defender, like someone like Van Dijk, who doesn't really need the coaching. He'll do the job no matter what, really.
That would have been an unbelievable signing if they'd got that. Like I was
Yeah.
surprised
If
from
they
his point
picked
of view.
to
I mean,
pick
Jurgen
City
Klopp
and
is an
Chelsea as well.
unbelievable coach to go and work for. Like, don't get me
of
wrong.
course.
And Liverpool are a huge club, and I'm sure they're paying him a lot of money. But then there's Manchester City, who are already established team. Like their facilities are, by all accounts, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, they are.
They're just that 1%. You got Pep, and then that 1% of standard of play. Like the squad is probably a little bit better.
Yeah.
And they're football's careers are short, so they want to pay him a little bit more money. You're looking at Chelsea or City and going, yeah, probably go there. But if Liverpool had have got him, that would have been just massive. Like that's a huge problem. Next problem they need is a goalkeeper, but
I think
they still need a centre back.
I think the interesting thing for Liverpool is that I think they need a decent CDM as well.
Their whole spine, striker, CDM, centre back, keeper,
But
all needs work.
Probably Liverpool fans would argue John Henderson is good enough.
That's true. I love John Henderson, to be fair, and he is a very, very good player. He doesn't get
he's a
enough
good player,
credit,
Just
but
putting that out there. I think.
I doubt he cleans up.
but he could maybe do someone, with him. Like, especially are they getting rid of Lucas Leiva? Is he
Yeah.
gonna be left?
I would.
Yeah. So
Never
it's
rate him.
that. I feel like a lot of teams in the Premier League miss that. Like a proper CDM who can. You've got a lot of ball playing CDMs, but not many ball winners like Kante.
Especially if you know Chelsea are looking to get offload Matic.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool could do
Why
worse.
would you not be after him?
You could do worse. Like he's not bad. He's not bad.
He's a great player.
So
He was key
He's
for them,
great,
wasn't he? But a few seasons
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. But obviously, Liverpool technically aren't completely out because Southampton accepted their apology yesterday. So
if that does.
But I think
maybe
they probably
a
accepted
few
that
weeks,
apology.
maybe a few weeks into the.
Did the
line,
Premier League-
Part of that
Premier
apology
League
was them
did
saying
something.
they would taken their interest out though, so I imagine
Yeah.
Southampton accepted it because they ended their interest in Van Dijk as well.
No, but they ended their interest, but they're probably like, we'll accept your apology for now, and then we'll maybe come back into you later in the summer, because it only football's a very short term memory. In a
It's
couple of
very true.
weeks' time, they'll probably just come back in.
I thought they got a wrap off the Premier League as well, so they might.
That was it. That was only if Liverpool, if Southampton didn't accept their apology.
Oh right.
So, yeah, unless I've missed anything, but I'm pretty sure that's what. Moving on to a few more done deals. Man City have been quite early to get on. They've started buying players before the transfer window opened today. So they've bought Bernardo Silva from Monaco for 43 million. Interestingly, he only had 1 assist in the Champions League in 11 games. And you think how well Monaco did. A little interest. I don't know whether he's more of the key player that then passes before.
Goals
before the
in the
assists.
Champions League though, because he just
It was only a couple. It wasn't a lot.
pick up a few goals
It
as
wasn't
well.
a lot. But
Yeah,
and then,
it's been super this season.
Edison has joined from the goalkeeper has joined from Benfica for an undisclosed fee.
Yeah, about 34 mil, isn't it? Sounds like.
Played 27 games, kept 18 clean sheets in Portugal's
And one of the best
domestic
goal
league.
kicks in football, by the looks.
Oh
of
yeah,
what
it's
I've
an
seen.
absolute hammer of a
Yeah.
goal kick, isn't it?
So what have you made of City's sort of done deals before most people, and do you think it will
Absolute credit
improve them?
Absolute credit to them. I think I always respect a team that gets their stuff done. Obviously, again, they're more fortunate than others in like the situation that they are chucking about money, but it's obviously Pep's gone in. He said we're getting in there really early, and I think it's so crucial to get your signings done quickly, to just beat people to the punch. And they've got a lot of signings to go still, I think, and they're sorting out the defence quick. They still need to get left back and a right back. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised to see Kyle Walker going there.
Yeah.
At least, and I can't remember what it doesn't sound like they're getting Mendy now from Monaco, but they will get a left back. God knows who, but no, they're going to be an absolute force next
Maybe AS
season.
Man City soon.
Because what?
Maybe AS Man City soon.
Yeah,
or the
possibly,
English side,
yeah.
okay.
But obviously, Pep's will now really have time to put his stamp on the team. I think if Jesus can stay fit, that would be huge for them as well. With Jesus and Aguero, if both stay, and yeah, I've absolute credit to them. Like they've wasted literally no time. As soon as the season finished, they were on it, and yeah, it's credit to them.
Got respect to the team that goes out there and goes and gets the stuff done early, because it's so much easier that if you've got a squad ready when you come back off their holidays and they're all together in pre-season, it gives them more time to get to know each other, more time to work and stuff and training. Then you get the chemistry of the team, and it's just so much easier. But then, like you said, it's alright for Man City because they've got the money, so they can go and just buy people whatever. They won't have to sort of spend time negotiating. But again, it's only June the 9th.
Yeah.
It's not August the 9th. If it was August the 9th, then people should start worrying. So I don't think it's smart to get it done now, but I don't think if you're not at a disadvantage if the team hasn't bought anyone yet.
No, I'm just having a quick look because today's released lists are coming out from the Premier League, so I'm just checking we haven't missed anything. Watford have released theirs. You know Watford's, don't you?
I heard rumours Zlatan was being released. Has that happened?
No, so that's what we're going to get onto. So
Rennie Martin, he's
sort of
been released from Watford. Best radio commentator and fifth choice goalkeeper, even though we have 4. But he's probably fifth choice.
Yeah, so this sort of Man United twist on rumours. Obviously, the Morata moving to United seems to be quite well from what we've seen. And sort of the contrast of the potential for Ibrahimovic not getting a contract, scoring 28 goals in all competitions and having a big impact in the
That's kind of harsh. Like maybe it's a smart move because he's quite, mature now. And you're looking. I mean, clubs have the ability that fans don't, in the foresight to think: is he going to be as good next season as he was this season? How old is he now? 30.
Good question.
4.
He's
not like, I think it depends on whether United and him would be happy for him to maybe play a cameo part at times. If you get Morata, he's probably not going to play as much. Then you've got Rashford as well, and I don't want to see his development stunted for the sake of keeping a big name around for shirt sales. He's 35, so
35.
I think
for 35 he's superb.
I think sometimes when stuff like that is released, you think, what? Like if he was released and fans are like, what the hell are you doing? But then you look the next year and and he goes somewhere else and is not as good, and you're like, well, the club's had the foresight to understand that he might not be as good.
Yeah.
And sometimes you've got to think with your head instead of your heart.
Yeah. I do wonder if money's an issue. I know United have got a bucket ton of cash, but even they need to budget sometimes. If there was a leak I saw, I don't know how true it was, and I don't know if it was with add-ons or what, but he was on more than Rooney, like about 368k a week or something like that. Like, you sign Ibra on free, he's not going to come cheap.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there is just to make way for the other signings that are inevitably going to come to United this season. But yeah, I think he was absolutely superb, and he was crucial, especially when getting United up the league. And he was a very key player off the pitch as well. Obviously, Pogba spoke about that in an interview, didn't he, this week, saying what an important figure he was. But you were saying how he's developed Rashford. Obviously, he's helped Rashford's development. Rashford would have learned from him. And yeah, I guess it probably is his time to go.
Yeah, I think the biggest sort of deciding factor as well is his injury, because he might not be ready. Even though we've seen him walking, he's obviously ahead of the programme. He might not actually be ready till 2018, and it's like, do you really want that player? If you can get a player of his calibre, that sort of decent status with the money that United have got in the transfer window, do you really need Ibra, Rashford, Rooney, and someone else? So,
but we'll see if Rooney stays as well. But
I'm feeling it's interesting because it seems like Rooney's not going to get released because he's still got a year left.
Yeah.
So it seems like United are going to just keep him for a year and then let him go free next year. Yeah, I think that's probably the more likely thing to happen.
But I heard a rumour about Ibra about where he might go, because apparently he wants to stay in Europe.
He's not going to Watford, Jack. Leave it alone.
No. He's not going to be bench warmer to Deeney, is he?
Can you imagine that, having Deeney and Ibra?
Oh, fantastic.
God, that would be incredible. But no, apparently, because obviously everyone expects him to go to MLS, but apparently his agent said he still thinks he can compete and still cut it. And I've heard that Napoli are interested in Ibra, and we know he loves Italy, and I would love to see him in that. Talking about Italy and good football, like as I said, I love the current Napoli team. I mean, they've been unlucky, to be honest, to be outshone by Monaco with their attacking football. But can you imagine Ibrahimovic with the likes of, obviously I love Insigne, but Insigne, Mertens, Zielinski, and Hamsik are all incredible attacking players, and then if you've got Ibra leading that line, they could do some very good things. I'd love to see that happen.
I think Zlatan would enjoy Naples.
Yeah, he would. He'd
Sounding
definitely
a bit
fit
like
in.
that, aren't they?
He would definitely fit in there with, like, obviously the very working class, very passionate fans there. I think we'd definitely get behind him.
Yeah. I think that's it for transfers, unless you've heard anything on the grapevine.
There was talk of Belotti got linked to United, but I think that's more a case of just Belotti and Morata being lumped in together sort of thing. I think Belotti will probably go, maybe he'll go to AC Milan. But one thing I saw was interesting was who's going to be, we're most likely going to see football's first ever £100 million man this season. So who do you reckon the first 100 mil man will be? So there's a few in there, like Mbappe, Belotti, Hazard. Belotti's release clause is €100 million. That's why I say him.
I can see Hazard going to Real Madrid. If I was Hazard, I'd find it extremely difficult to turn Real Madrid down, even though it's going quite well at Chelsea. But
well, we've heard obviously it's not going to be De Gea, so that's fine.
So yeah,
potentially hearing that Real Madrid have called their interest. So
I think it would be Mbappe.
Yeah, I can see it being him.
Especially, do you see the rumours of Arsenal bid 120 mil for him next?
Ooh, Jesus!
Because I wanted to ask you guys that. So, yeah, the two options is: do you go to Real Madrid, obviously best team in the world, but in Mbappe's shoes this is, and let's face it, he's not going to start every game. He could play second fiddle again. Or do you go to Arsenal? You miss out. You miss a year of Champions League football, but you're absolutely the star player there. Without just
Sanchez is left by this point.
I'm just trying to think who would he play? Where would he play for Real Madrid? Because whose place could he take?
Ronaldo.
Benzema,
because he's not.
Was he playing up front or was he playing left? Because I thought he played
Does he
left
play
wing
up
for
front?
Monaco.
So which,
Nah, Mbappe's a striker.
so
Yeah, I
if
know, but I
he's a
thought Monaco
striker,
played him left wing.
I don't know, every young striker who's got any
Yeah.
pace of gets played in the wing, and I hate that. He's a striker. Martial's a striker.
if he's
Ben's a striker.
if he's a striker, I think they'd scrap Benzema because Benzema gets quite a lot of hate. So I think Benzema could quite easily just be benched for someone they, and especially if they spend 100 mil. If they spend 100 mil, then
There's
he
a bit of pressure
will
from upstairs to play it, really.
he will play every game because he'll be like the Bale signing,
Yeah.
the Ronaldo signing. It's like he is our
Marquee
poster
sign-
boy.
the marquee signing.
Like so,
Yeah, 'cause
so
Real Madrid have stepped away, haven't they, from marquee
So,
signings
so the
recently,
problem is
for a few
with
years.
that. I'm not quite sure that's true that he wouldn't play because I feel like he would play, but yeah. When you were discussing it with me yesterday, I was thinking he probably would be more comfortable going to Arsenal because he'd be a young player who's sort of he would be their big player, and that
He
would
would
probably
benefit both
be a
parties
bit more
as well, wouldn't it?
enjoyable as a sort of maturing player to be able to have that sort of pressure put on you, and I think he'd probably enjoy that. But I don't know. I think if
So he could
it's
still
a
be
tough
as
one.
Arsenal. You could see as a stepping stone to ensure that like he doesn't peak too early, or like obviously though if he goes to Real Madrid and succeeds, and he's guaranteed to be Messi level, Ronaldo level, really, isn't he, in his future? So it's
I haven't seen that much of him to say that just yet.
if he's going to Real Madrid for 100 million at 18, 19 years old, and he sets the world alight there as he did there, then as he has at Monaco, if he can do that at Real Madrid.
But it's like
then he
it depends
absolutely
what kind
will
of
be on that level.
because it depends what kind of style of play it is. Because like I don't know.
Very quick, very good with his feet. Just like I think the important thing as well is obviously he's so composed.
I can see if he's more of a fit at Real Madrid than Arsenal. If you had to pick the team.
It's the kind of striker Arsenal needs though, someone with pace to run in
I don't
behind.
think it suits their style of play though.
No?
Not really.
Monaco play very nice passing football, don't they? But I guess they have a lot more pace. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think swings and
I
roundabouts.
think
I
there's a
think
lot
he
in it, but I
fits in
think-
most teams.
yeah.
To be fair, 'cause he's superb.
He is a superb finisher. I just wouldn't put him quite in the bracket of going up there yet because I just haven't.
Not
seen,
yet, no.
because
but
I
yeah,
haven't seen
yeah,
him.
still
He
got-
hasn't seen. I haven't seen him challenge himself yet. Yes, he's done well in the Champions League, but Monaco is sort of just. I don't know. He was helped by the way they attack, whereas I haven't seen him carry the team himself. Which is that's when you carry a team, that's when you're on. When you can see. Like when say Monaco were really struggling, when the Juventus game, where was he in the Juventus game? If he
Didn't he
carried
score?
them, no, but if he'd carried them to win that game,
Yeah.
then you'd be like, okay, he's
Yeah.
going to go to this sort of level. So I think he's still got. So maybe if he went to Arsenal, I feel like he would be educated in the right way to then maybe reach that kind of potential because he'd do the grafting a little bit. Probably wouldn't be on top of the world straight away. He would have to graft in the Premier League, get physical, and then that physicality would then propel him to be able to go to Real Madrid or Barcelona and be a top, to be a then Ronaldo, Messi level.
I do think it would help him, but I get the feeling he'll choose Real, especially when there was a picture of him with about 50 Cristiano Ronaldo posters behind him when he was even younger, when he was like 14.
Well, I think he would like to work for a French manager.
Well,
Wow.
either way.
You can't see because this is audio, but that was
Cristiano Ronaldo.
sarcastic, and I knew I was saying that. Yeah.
Yeah,
gonna be a
so
good
that's
summer.
that. Yeah. So, moving on to what's known as the oldest international fixture, England versus Scotland. Are you guys excited?
Walk in the park.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that Hampden Park? And sort of, do you have any predictions or sort of the things I wanted? Obviously, I don't know if the news will come out by the time we publish this, but what do you make of the captaincy? And do you think Kane has now officially replaced Rooney as sort of striking commander?
Yes, he has.
100%.
100%.
Who's captain?
He's superb.
There is
Yeah,
well, they
there
haven't
isn't
announced it. Well, they haven't announced it yet.
And yeah, it was interesting because like just before you came around, just before we started, they were saying the Southgate's kind of he doesn't want one captain. He wants multiple leaders on that pitch. He wants everyone to take responsibility and to sort of step up, which I find a really interesting approach. To be fair, And I find it a lot of the time now, you do get the rare occasion where you get a player who really is a captain in the pin mode, like being typical what Dini is everything you want in a captain. He's one man who leads. Yeah, so I think I like Southgate's approach, and I just like Southgate, to be honest. Like, I respect him. I respect that he's obviously, I know, like, we all know I'm not the hugest fan of Rooney, but I respect that he will actually drop Rooney, rightfully so, because he's not playing at the moment. So he probably wouldn't be he might not even be match fit at the moment. But yeah, the captaincy thing's really interesting. I quite like it so far. So they're a young team. We all need to develop. And Harry Kane said even at 23 he'd be happy to captain. That's the sort of thing where, build that in early, and I think it's good.
I think Joe Hart is the obvious choice.
Yeah.
Because he's just like shouting at
Or
people.
probably Gary Cahill.
Well, possibly Cahill, yeah. But yeah, I agree. I like that he wants, leaders on the pitch. He wants to take responsibility. No one that shies away. But yeah.
And yeah, he's obviously putting them through the paces because he sent them off to a army boot camp, didn't he, or something the other day?
Yeah.
Yeah, they thought they were going to be staying in a hotel, and then they actually went through an army boot camp because there's a video of like Walker and Hart coming in and getting the hotel, and they're like, "Yeah, the room's not ready yet." And it was like, and then they kind of you see both of them panic and go, "Oh God, have we actually got a hotel room this time?" Yeah, we did. And you're like, "Okay, thank God." And like, I'm not doing another military drill.
And Defoe said that kind of stuff might help them actually win a penalty shootout as well. So.
Bit of mental fortitude.
Yeah, good idea. It's like fair play from Southgate because everyone was criticising him. He's not. Oh, he's not strong enough. He's not. Not in the sort of material. Well, I'm sorry, but no one's bloody won anything in years anyway.
No.
So why the hell
English
not?
manager has never won the
I
Premier
think
League.
he should go about it just whatever way he sees fit. Like it's maybe take a few risks. Why not? We just start swinging. Everything's a free hit until we start slightly achieving something, and then we'll get pinned down again.
Yeah. But yeah, no, absolutely respect that he's gone in and he's not afraid to change and do things his way. And yeah, I like him.
Just while we're talking about England as well, watch England under-20s win the World Cup on Sunday.
This is what I was going to sort of move on to.
And then in 4 or 5 years' time, watch us crash out of the World Cup to like Armenia, like Peru.
But this is the interesting part of that. Obviously, England, if you didn't know, England under-21s played Italy in the semi-final of the World Cup, under-20 World Cup. Solanke scored 2 now at Liverpool.
Dominic Sosa.
And Everton's Lookman scored
he's
1.
Very good.
And this was after Italy had scored first in the second minute, so they had to really fight for this one. But it's the first time in 51 years that, in general, an England side has reached a final. So this shows a big...
An England male side?
No, because women's was semi-final, wasn't it?
Yeah, they came third. Because I went to they came third.
Just to be sure. Let's just be sure.
Don't try to catch me out. Yeah, so it's the first time any England side has done it in 51 years. And I think that shows a big difference of... That's why the England team have failed in recent years, because they just haven't done well they haven't done well in the youth tournaments, so why would they do well?
I thought we did quite well in the Euros recently. Did not under-17s win the Euros or something like that?
17s got to the final. I think they were beaten by Spain.
Didn't they win it on penalties?
I thought they won. I'm sure we won something.
We won a penalty shootout and it was huge.
I thought they lost it, maybe.
And Southgate obviously got under-21s quite far in a tournament as well, didn't they?
Yeah, but, just keep chatting whilst I get this up.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Love Dominic Solanke. Obviously, Adam Lookman, my boy. And
England's
who's the kid from City? Because I know he's had quite a lot of love.
Which one?
I can't remember what his
name
is.
There's Josh Noma from Tottenham who didn't even play.
No.
Because he got sent off in the call.
No, there was someone. I can't remember what his name is.
But yeah, just a note for Solanke. For the first half, I was a bit like, I'm not really seeing much here, to be honest. It took him about 40 minutes to get into the game, but once he did and got a few chances and then scored in the second half, he does look a very good player, very good striker. No, England under-20s, under 17s lost on penalties to Spain for, what was it?
Sad.
Yeah, it's encouraging, isn't it? But then apparently... And again, I don't know how true this is, and I haven't really done the research in it, but I saw someone saying that only a few teams actually had like their full choice of players.
Probably.
For this tournament, and England being one of those teams, which is why they may or may not have had more success. But either way, it's good
Even
experience.
so, though, for like whether it's whether different things, they've still had to do it, and we haven't been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
You have no
and I think
disrespect to
there is
Venezuela, but also how the hell are they in the final?
they've
They've got Peñaranda.
Have they
That's
got a
why
good team?
they've got Watford's Alberto Peñaranda, which I'm buzzing about, even though he's never actually played for.
What's
Watford,
the
he was just
format
getting
for the
loaned out
under-20s? Is it same like 32 teams, or how many teams is it?
I'll have to find out.
That's a good question. But yeah, Alberto Peñaranda is a really exciting talent that Watford fans were very excited when we signed, but he hasn't really kicked on much. We loaned him out to Udinese this year, and he didn't get playing time. Then he went to Malaga, and I don't know how he did there. The season before that, when he was 17, he really set La Liga alight, and for playing for Granada, who are obviously crap. They're an awful team, but he did really well and stood out there. So, but other than that, I don't really know who's in Venezuela's team. They got through on a penalty shootout. They beat Uruguay on penalties.
It's Solomon Rondon in Venezuela, isn't he?
He is, but he's not under 20.
Has he got any kids though around? Yeah.
I think I have this right. I think it's 24.
24 teams, okay, that's pretty good then.
Yeah, so we haven't done bad. Who was in our group? Mate, Venezuela, because we say look at that group.
The host Korea Republic, Argentina, and Guinea.
Guinea-Bissau.
Yeah.
Then look at...
Well, we had Argentina in our group.
Yeah.
Do we win it?
Yeah. Won it with 2 wins and a draw.
Oh.
Venezuela had Mexico and Germany in their group. So
Argentina lost 2 and won 1, so they didn't even make out the group stage.
Okay. Argentinian football's absolutely stinking.
But Venezuela in there, they had Mexico, Germany, and Vanuatu. Is that right?
How the Vanuatu in the World Cup?
And
this doesn't count.
Venezuela. What do you want to guess their goal difference?
I can see it is.
If they had Vanuatu, they'd won by about 10.
It was 10. Yeah, it was 10. Goal away 0, so they didn't concede at all.
That's pretty good.
And that had Germany and Mexico, who are obviously you like to think are good sides. But yeah, so
should be a very good final.
Vanuatu
should be
in the
good.
World Cup.
Yeah, everyone should tune into that. Really, give the young lads some support.
Yeah.
Although
it's on Eurosport. I think,
on Eurosport.
So, hopefully you can get that channel. I just wanted to mention one other is England's women play a friendly, so it's not quite as in terms of significance of the match. A friendly against Switzerland. That's on Saturday, and that's a build up to their European Championship.
Where's that being played?
I don't
know. We don't know a lot on it,
but it's because I just sort of put it as a mention. I just knew that they're playing against Switzerland on Saturday for their build up to the Netherlands, which starts on the 19th of July. So just keep an eye out for that.
Excited for that.
Talking about women's football, can I give a quick shout out to Watford ladies?
No.
Because they've done a fantastic job of redeveloping there, where the last 2 seasons they've come completely bottom of the league, absolute no hopes. Started the new spring series with no manager. Keith Boanis, who for those who don't know is a very, very good coach. He's coached internationally at women's level with Estonia, and Watford climbed up in the table. I think they came like 8th or something like that. But now huge developments there. Apparently they were getting complimented earlier for their social media on the Watford ladies, but they've opened up an academy now. Watford ladies actually have their own academy, and I don't know. Does anyone know what RTC is? Apparently, someone went to an RTC trial, and they said that our trials were much better than that, which was a huge step for the club. I don't know, but either way, the club's it's got international players, including England youngster Babajide, who's a fantastic player, really good talent.
Something like released.
Yeah, I'm not
talent,
sure, but
released
either
talent.
way, Watford ladies have developed really well. Have gone from nothing to something very quickly, and yeah, absolute credit to them. They're doing brilliantly and making Hornets proud.
Fair play.
This sort of moves on to our next sort of club updates, if you want, unless you've got anything else you want to talk about internationally.
No, so not much to say about Scotland.
Apart from maybe it's going to be a tough game.
I think Scotland. I don't think it'll be a tough game at all.
I think Scotland will probably score, but I think
it'll be a similar game. It's so much build up to England Scotland, and we absolutely smashed them at Wembley.
Yeah, we did.
I think if
there's more talk about the poppies, wasn't there, last time?
If the players are sort of still, in good shape and match fit and stuff. Yeah. I think it should be a fairly routine victory. I don't expect anything much surprising to happen, really.
So sort of next, sort of if you want to discuss club updates, so if you want to maybe start with Watford, Jack, and sort of just the introduction of Marco Silva and your sort of general transfers and maybe other views of the club you've had since.
Yeah, just absolutely delighted to get Marco Silva. As I said in the last podcast, really wanted him, and absolutely the right man for the job. So it was nice for us to actually get something over Crystal Palace for once. That felt good, to be honest. It's a sly thing, but no, encouraging news. Transfer rumours are flying. It looks like there's a few going about. Like I think his name's Firmino, a right back from Spain, who's apparently had quite a good season, is being linked with us. We're being linked with Kieran Gibbs. I quite like Kieran. I'm a big fan of Kieran Gibbs personally, and Watford do need some homegrown players. I'm hoping Troy Deeney stays, and I know Troy Deeney's come under a lot of slack this year, especially from Watford fans, and a lot feel that for us to move on, we need to move him on and move on from him, which is a fair point, but I still think he can do the job for us. I think the reason for that is he was playing up front on his own with absolutely no creative midfielders and any support whatsoever. No striker is going to succeed. Not very few strikers. If there's a striker that can succeed in that situation, they shouldn't be playing for Watford, quite frankly. I think he brings out the best when players are around him. So if it's when we're playing like 4-4-1-1, where he's got Niang who isn't bothered and just doesn't want to be there. He's completely isolated, and I know he doesn't suit Marco Silva's 4-2-3-1 counter-attacking football, which I'm really excited about, by the way, because I love 4-2-3-1 as a formation. I'm excited to see us play that. I still think, okay, he won't be that good for counter-attacks, but if you've got three talented attacking midfielders around him, which he should do by the sounds of apparently he might sell Zarate, funny enough, but Pereira will be back, which will be huge for us. I'm sure we might get Grosicki for really cheap from Hull for 3 million, which would be an absolute bargain because of his clause in his
Especially
contract.
in today's climate, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I think he brings out that we saw it with, he made Mate Vidra look like a superb striker, and we've now seen in the Championship that he's got the talent, but he's not really up to it. And the same with Forestieri's gotten better, but any striker, Igalo is a great example. Next to Troy Deeney did a lot of the hard work for Igalo, and was the reason that partnership it wasn't Igalo doing it on his own, it was definitely that partnership. Deeney's got a striker next to him or players around him, he will, even if he's not scoring himself, he will bring them into the game, and he can absolutely do that job for us.
I think the smartest thing he could have done was sell Igalo at the time. When Leicester wanted him? Or someone wanted him?
Oh, what, Deeney, you mean?
No, Igalo. After that one good season, there was obviously people in for him.
Kind of, yeah, there was, but he didn't want to leave. Well, we still cashed in on him with like 24 million from China, which is an absolute joke.
Yeah, just if you want to just go back to the manager, we spoke about Marco Silva before, and then straight after the podcast, it looked like you were going to get, is it Robert Schmidt?
Roger
Roger
Schmidt.
And you sort of were obsessed with him. So
I very quickly became obsessed with Roger Schmidt because he's incredible man. For those who don't know, he was a Leverkusen manager. And he also was at Red Bull Salzburg in Austria and did a very good job there. And he plays very attacking football, and he's very unique in the fact that he pretty much he plays sort of like, it's like Klopp's tactics on speed, sort of thing, like really insane high press, and they attack in about 7 seconds, where literally it'll be 3 passes, counter attack gone. And that sort of having that sort of identity would have been amazing, and also it would have been a huge statement to have a manager, to be honest, of his caliber, someone who a lot of people believed should be the man to replace Wenger actually at Arsenal. And I think maybe Roger Schmidt, apparently we couldn't afford his wages. I think it was more just a bit false news from the Independents, or just because they randomly lumped Palace in with him as well, and I almost had a heart attack when he showed me that. But I would cry if he went to Palace over us. But
it looks like they're going to get De Boer instead now.
Yeah, it looks like they might get De Boer, which is not a bad appointment for them either. But I think Roger Schmidt will buy his time. I think he's he's a manager for a better pedigree than Watford currently. He should be in Europe really. Mm-hmm. But I'm absolutely delighted with Marco Silva. He's fantastic man management as well. I'm intrigued to see, because wherever he's gone, he's got the best out of players who've been struggling. He did it at Hull, he did it at Olympiacos and in Portugal as well.
He'll really earn his wage at Watford then.
Yeah, exactly.
Squad of them.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have an overhaul of our squad again. I wonder, I'm hoping Christian Capicelli at centre back will do a good job. He's been someone tweeted a picture and it was something about, it was a news agency as well, like about Belgian press conference. No, it was completely East Belgian. It was completely around like an Argentina press conference. It just had a picture of Capicelli in it for no reason. Like they could, so everyone on Twitter's been posting pictures of like other people and saying, "Oh, it's me and Capicelli" and stuff like that. He's been really open on Twitter and he seems like a really nice guy and quite talented. I wonder if Capu stays. I'm fascinated to see how Capu, if Silva could get, if anyone could get the best out of Capu, then
I
it
would
would be
keep
Silva.
him and see if
Because
Silva
Capu's a
can-
fantastic player, but he's so inconsistent and he's one of the best players I've ever seen in a Watford shirt, without a doubt. But I wouldn't be that upset if he left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that kind of.
And have you got any picks that you want, player wise, that you dream like you're like, I want, him, or have you not?
Really, I can't say anything. Insigne, because we'll never get him.
Yeah.
There was, I can't remember the name. There was a striker from Spain. I can't remember his name. I'll have to look it up. Who we got linked with? Who sounded very good.
Griezmann.
It wasn't Antoine Griezmann. I don't think.
Yeah.
Weird.
No,
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah. No, we've just got a lot of signings. I like Kieran Gibbs. Kieran Gibbs at Watford would be nice.
Okay. And Johnny, moving on to Swindon, they've had a new kit, new manager. Any transfers as well?
No, I don't think so. No, I haven't heard anyone about anyone coming in. Probably most of the players, or some of the players, want to leave, the better ones. But no.
Have you actually got rid of anyone, like released?
I don't think.
anyone,
Yes, we released Anton Rodgers, but we've already covered that. We're just going to say it every week until it sinks in. Yeah, there's a few players that were released. Brad Barry's already got a club. I think he's gone to Chesterfield. I thought we probably could have kept him, but oh well. Move on. Yeah, I think I'm glad we've finally got a manager. Like the more I hear from him, the more I'm sort of.
So you know this is David. Is it Flitcroft?
David Flitcroft, yeah. His brother Gary.
Where does he come from?
He was at Bury.
Bury.
He's also kept Barnsley up. His managerial record's actually quite good because he kept like Bury, when he took over Bury, they were nearly relegated. He kept them up easily. The next season, I think they got promoted. Then the season after that, they got their record points tally.
Okay. When he started off with relegation, I was like, okay, at least we don't get relegated.
And he kept Barnsley up when they were
promotion and stuff as well.
He kept Barnsley up in the Championship when they were just gone. Like,
Yeah,
it was almost a great escape. And I do like. I remember for some reason when we played, I think they beat us earlier in the year at home. Obviously, most people did, but I think they beat us at home, and they were on like that crazy 10-game winning run. And for some reason, I never usually watch the interviews afterwards for other managers. I just felt. I was like, I wonder what he said about us. And he was actually quite complimentary at the time. Like, they beat us, but they didn't really have a lot of the ball. I think they just scored 2, and that was sort of the end of it. And he was really complimentary about us. And I've always quite liked him as a person. Like, he seems like quite a nice guy, but not afraid to kind of work players quite hard. And I think he suits us quite well. So yeah, I wasn't totally thrilled when I first heard the news, but then, like I said, the more I've heard of him, the more I thought, yeah, it might well. I'm just gonna, judge him on what happens.
On merit, yeah.
Judge him on merit and see what happens. Yeah. But I'm glad we finally got a manager because it seemed like no one bloody wanted the job. But apparently he's been given. We've got the 3rd highest budget in the league. Oh no, sorry. Apparently, we should have the highest budget in the league, if not one of the highest. Ooh. So we will have. They will have money to play with, yeah. And like I said before, I honestly don't care if we lose both of the games to Forest Green and still get promoted. I couldn't give a shit because it just doesn't, like we did to Oxford last time. It just doesn't matter. It ultimately does not matter. No. Like they're not really our rivals because they're fucking village.
That's like Watford. Obviously, Watford don't get to play their rivals, Luton ever. So we kind of just start.
It's difficult.
We start off with Bournemouth.
You know what I mean here. When your rival is a Sunday pub team.
And
Yeah.
when we asked players at Wembley, who are they most looking forward to? And it was Cheltenham. So
Yeah.
the big game, I think, is more.
That's Gloucestershire, though, isn't it?
But like in terms of like
Properly.
rivalries, who you think? Because obviously Swindon are the technically.
Forest Green, I think, is our biggest derby next year.
Swin-
That's how sad it is.
It's going to be an absolute bloodbath.
But the only thing is, it's just because Swindon are over.
Slaughtered in the Swindon game.
It's just because Swindon are the sort of bigger club, biggest club near us, and it's over in a different county. So you might think it would be a bit more heated, but apparently.
I think maybe. I mean, you say it now because we've never played each other,
Yeah.
but I think it's one of those things that as it goes on more and more, the
Start of a new
rivalry will
history.
probably get more intense.
Yeah.
So
What did you make of your new kit as well? Happy with it?
I don't like it. It's like
it's a nice red.
it's pretty
I
much the
thought.
kit that we had 2 years ago. I didn't like that either.
Yeah.
But luckily I bought last year's kit when they basically like reduced. They were literally giving it away. I think I got it for like 10 or 15 quid, and I quite liked the line last year because it was quite tight fitting. There was no stupid collar. It was just simple red Puma. It's like simple design. I really like those sort of ones. So. I do like the socks though this year.
I've only seen
I
the
haven't seen them.
It's weirdly we usually have like high red socks, but I think it's like red with white,
Okay.
like the white sort of top.
Oh, that's
I
nice.
quite like that. So
Yeah. To distract away from
Just-
the awful polka dots on your
yeah,
sleeve.
just that looks shit.
That's horrid.
Shit.
For those of you who haven't seen it, Swindon came pretty much on the sleeves. It's all like loads of white polka dots on the sleeves. Then it stops for the Puma logo with like a little kind of arrow shape, almost, and then more polka dots.
It's like I think it was maybe a subtle nod to the the EFL's like badge. Their new badge is that sort of three. They've had it for a couple of years now. But the dots in like the.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was literally like a nod to that, like please don't ban us when we get players so on. But yeah, I don't. It's not great. It could be worse. It's not. It's not horrendous. But as long as we're winning in it, I don't care.
That's true.
Transfer.
I mean, sometimes kits grow on you. I mean, obviously, I was really unsure on Watford's kit 2 years ago where we had the B stripe, the Hornet stripe sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the one. Yeah.
But I ended up loving it.
In the end, we actually didn't mind
genuinely
it
missed
too much.
it.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
quite
it was
funny.
really, because at the first I saw it, I was like, what on earth have we done? Why have we done this? And then
I'm quite excited to see our
season,
away
I
kit
loved
though,
it.
because red like our home kit always it's like the same kind of red.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same designs. More or less, just like the away kit's usually we
The
usually have
exciting
quite nice away kits to be fair. So.
Yeah, the purple kit didn't you?
Yeah, too bad. That wasn't too bad. So.
Quite nice.
Yeah. And then transfer wise, it's only one that you want or you've seen or you want to keep players that you want to keep.
I don't know. It's difficult at our level because it's just it's players will go because they're on so little money. You can just lose players because they get an opportunity somewhere else. I think we would be better to just get rid of Kasim. I don't care where if he goes to Bristol City, he can go to Bristol City. Just get out of the club, mate, because he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be there for 3 years.
Yeah, he's been there for a long time.
Just get rid. So.
Yeah.
I think probably get rid of Kasim. I think finally Rodgers is gone.
Yeah.
So.
Good.
I don't know if
Nathan Thompson would be a
wants to
big
go. Vigoury put himself in the shop window on Twitter the other day.
Yeah,
He's basically
he
posted a
said
video
that.
of his highlights.
Sorry, I just was reading the Sky Sports news, and all I saw was Real Madrid to sign.
Oh yeah,
You saw
you
Morata
saw
to
sign
sign
Morata, and then all it is that United remain confident, and it's just like that's not news, that's not breaking.
I thought you saw a sign in Real Madrid, and then
Yeah.
you just went no, De Gea.
Breaking news: Manchester United confident they will spend money this
Yeah,
summer.
Yeah.
so that's just a nothing story. So
But yeah, apparently Wigan
Sorry.
spend money. Just not sure who won
who?
yet.
No.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Just
You don't think he'll steal players?
I
from
think
his previous
Vigoury will
club?
go. I think Kasim will go. Nathan Thompson is either already gone or is
I'm not
going.
sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
In my mind, they've all left. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Like,
He's
I'm just trying to ease the pain. So I'm like, in my
Yeah.
mind, they've already left.
Yeah.
I think was it Charlton room for Nathan Thompson.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. They
So
will.
that's kind of. I really wanted him to go to the Championship because I think he can play there.
I agree. I know I've only seen him play once in person.
Yeah,
but he
even
looked
that was
superb.
pretty much how he plays every week. So,
Yeah, he was superb.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see later on in the summer. I think we're never going to be one of those teams that does deals early. I think we wait for the sport. Like we wait for the last week in August just for fun, and then we sign anyone we can. Yeah, I think it is literally that. We play transfer chicken. Yeah. But I'm pleased with we've got a manager and hopefully things. The only way is up now. I think.
Yeah.
Cool. Then I'll move on to obviously my team, Forest Green. I've got the list of players that we released, which was quite a surprise. We released defender Sam Wedgbury and Marcus Kelly. Marcus Kelly is probably one of the more longer serving players that Forest Green have had for a while. I thought it was a bit of a shame that him leaving. Mohamed Kamlau, who we had at the start of the season, looked like a good promising player, but he's sort of been
It's the
chucked
worst
out
time
as
to get released as well, then.
So, yeah.
Finally go up.
And then, but interestingly, we've managed to keep. We kept what's his name, Reece Murphy, which he was on loan for the whole of the time last year, and Aaron Racine's come back as well, defender. So some of these players who like Racine, I respected quite a lot as a player, very good on the ball, didn't always make the best judgment in terms of crossing. But I feel like I think they're good players, but it depends whether it's their level of commitment is their issue that they had last year. Because I used to see, I met Racine in a nightclub in Stroud, so I don't know how much their commitment is to health and sort of attitudes. Maybe that was an issue. Maybe he's going to try and get that to work for the upcoming season. Because they're in a better league, so they might change their attitude a little bit. So that was quite interesting. And we've already, before the window even opened, managed to buy a couple of players. Most notably, is it Reece Brown?
Reece Brown, not Wes Brown's brother.
Yeah.
As we found out.
Was it from Birmingham? Yeah, from Birmingham. He played 16 times in the Championship last year. I think only 21. So, yeah. And then we've also bought Callum Evans as well. I think he's a defender. So, already quite busy in the transfer market. I think it's probably just going to continue throughout the summer.
Big talking point for you was Woolery, wasn't it?
Yeah, Woolery. But I would love to have Woolery back because those last few games he was quality.
He was superb at Wembley.
But because of those impacts, when the Stroud News spoke to Mark Cooper, he said that it's probably not going to happen because his level has stepped up now. Because of those performances, so he'll either be staying at Wigan or going to someone in League One, So I think if we get it, we'd be very lucky. But I think we're gonna have to look elsewhere for sort of the ready-made placement.
It's all good.
Yeah, hopefully Marsh Brown can step up. So
that'd be it's a huge opportunity for Marsh Brown.
Trying to think. Otherwise, because obviously we haven't changed manager, so that's not very much interesting. Yeah, the only noticeable thing was sort of the release players and the players that we've got in. I haven't seen Reece Brown, so I'm not really sure what to make of him till pre-season, or I haven't seen much of Callum Evans either. I'll maybe just double check his history, but I think the biggest thing is I'm trying to think of players who I'd probably want to steal former players like Guthrie, or try and get Elliot back from Motherwell, Elliot Freer, because they are sort of favourites of mine that we sort of got rid of, which I'd like to see come back, but it all depends.
Whereas you never know with these sort of things, you think, I'd like so-and-so to come back, but then you sign someone else. It's the way football works. You sign new people and then they become I like them and so-and-so. So. Yeah.
And you could have a good player, but they don't fit in the system or doesn't work out.
I'd be interested to see if we keep Mullins though, because he joined us in January or February, didn't score a single goal, obviously helped us get promoted anyway, and then I'm like, are we really going to keep him? Because every time I saw him, he was terrible in front of goal. He started in the playoffs. He started to play a bit better in terms of holding up play and showing he's got the quality. But when it came to the most important part of his job as a striker to score, he either fluffed it, hit the post, or by the time against Torquay in the 5-5 in New Year, he managed to 360 and then managed to hit the ball in the wrong direction. It was just I couldn't explain how mucked up it was, and I was like, okay, this is the player we've bought apparently. So,
probably not.
Be an interesting one to see if we actually keep him in League One. And a lot of what Mark Cooper says when it comes to signing players at this level is it's sort of an unknown. You can have all the best information you've got from them, but a lot of these players are sort of just picked out of a hat, and you sort of just have to go and hope they're as good as people have said they are. Yeah, so I've just got Callum Evans here. Who do he used to play for? Former Man United youngster, featured for Barnsley on a number of occasions, and a versatile player, apparently defensive player. So, and that's quite important.
So he's poor man's Phil Jones.
That's quite important to me in terms of we've lost Mark Ellis now because he was on loan and he's gone back. And they're still sorting out his contract. So unless anything happens there, I don't know. So a lot of the loan players we had last season, I'm quite doubtful that we're going to get back. So it'll probably be quite a new look team that comes in terms of signings that have come up and sort of be quite exciting, but a little bit worrying because you don't know their sort of unknown quantities in terms of the squad. But or like you say, we've probably got one of the biggest budgets. So even though most people think we'll be fighting above relegation, I think we'll probably be at least playoff, aiming for mid-table playoff.
Okay. Yeah.
Only because there are 4 spots. So
yeah, true.
And if you've got this much money, and if we're playing a good style and we're on better pitches,
yeah, you're definitely capable of it. Absolutely.
Especially, I can't wait for the Swindon game because I don't know if your style will change as much, but obviously you've had a pedigree in the past few years of being a very passing, possession-based, and I think if we can have 2 possession-based teams playing against each other, it'd be sort of like Spanish-esque, quite probably terrible defending, but like really enjoyable.
West Country, apparently Flitcroft's sort of style is, he likes to play with wingers and get the ball out wide and put crosses in and things like that. So hopefully it should be good.
Yeah,
when is fixture released? Is it
I don't know. The Premier League one is next Wednesday.
Yeah, so we're the Wednesday after.
Yeah,
it's always a
usually
week.
It's not long, yeah.
I remember seeing the date, and then ours is the next week.
Yeah.
Isn't that the League Cup draws right in a minute as well?
Really?
It's like they may as well make the League Cup draw around fixture release day. For some reason.
Yeah. So these are sort of some questions I don't know might be quite tough now, but I had sort of Costa obviously not known that you didn't want to play or is not wanted anymore. Is there anyone at your club that's not wanted? Is it just
I think I could probably pick a few people. Branco splits opinion. I would still keep him. I honestly can't remember who's bloody left. I think he's still there. I think he's still there.
The merry-go-round.
Yeah, probably Kassim. You'd want to get rid of him because he evidently doesn't want to be there. And then other than that, I think it was really just Rodgers I wanted to get rid of, and now he's gone.
He's off.
So.
I said a lot of people obviously want Deeney to leave. Niang was absolutely hated. You can actually be happy for him to leave. We all were. I think we would have packed his bag for him. I think a lot of people still want Capu to go. Capu's been very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
So I'd say mainly Capu.
I think I would keep him. I would be prepared to take the risk of him because he's a good player.
He is super. If Silva thinks he works in the 4-2-3-1,
which I think he could.
He would, because I think Capu's just there if he's going forward. He always if he has to sit back and defend, he's useless.
Yeah.
But he does do that a lot. He's willing to do it, and credit to him for it. But if he actually tries to run at people and actually go forward and create, he's fantastic. We saw he can score as well.
Yeah.
So possibly, otherwise I think that's mainly it.
For me, I'm sort of the same. It's either Mullins, only because he hasn't scored any goals, maybe a bit harsh, and I think Jack Gosling, who came from Bristol Rovers, but he was only on loan, so he's gone. So I'm happy with that. Don't want him back because he just wasn't that. I thought he might be quite an exciting player, but Woolery played him out of the park compared to Jake
Ball
Gosling.
can leave as well.
Yeah.
Useless. I defended him at one point, but he's been injured for much of the year, and I forgot he was our player, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, and then this might be quite a tough one as well. Neymar this week released a mixtape in collaboration with Nike. So it wasn't him singing. It was like a selection of artists under maybe Nike's thingy. So my thing was either, is there a player that you'd sort of name an album afterwards or have a mixtape? How would you name their mixtape, or who would be on that player's album, if you can think of anything? But
what about genres? Because I reckon James Milner would be some heavy drum and bass because he doesn't stop running. And whenever I listen to drum and bass, I just want to run for miles. Yeah. James Milner never stops.
Is that the title? Is
Don't
it?
stop.
Don't stop.
Don't stop, can't stop.
Because I thought it'd be the other way around, whereas because obviously his nickname's obviously
He's
boring, so it'd be like classical
music.
Like just
It's a remix. It starts off with like a little bit of orchestra coming in, and drum and bass just kicks in.
trying to
That'd
think
be
what
awful, wouldn't it?
like a Diego Costa one. What would that be? Just sort of like
Heavy metal.
that would be heavy.
thrash
That
metal.
would
You got your Modric's, your jazz.
Ooh,
Jazz
yeah.
for Luka Modric, something like that.
Ibrahimovic. What would he be?
Ibras would just be like
Sia,
heavy.
the greatest featuring Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Ibra would be like cinematic music, like epic, like.
Be like,
I was thinking maybe more well, I don't know, sort of like
It would be. We know what the title would be. Zlatan. It would just
easy
be
enough.
called
Yeah,
Zlatan.
not even Zlatan's mixtape. Just
Zlatan, the musical.
and then sort of one last one is sort of a discussion. Obviously, Man City have got this new sort of thing that they're coming up with, the Tunnel Club, and you're seeing it with Tottenham's new stadium as well, where there's like a restaurant in the tunnel and it's glass.
You can see the players, but they can't see you.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's cool.
But Man City have changed it slightly in terms of you'll get the people, the guests, the VIP guests will get a tactical briefing before the games from one of Guardiola's coaches, and it's going to cost you about 15 grand.
I was going to say 15 grand for a Premier League point. That's pretty cheap.
I reckon.
That is
I reckon
terrible
I
idea.
reckon I could
That
pay.
is a terrible
I reckon I
idea.
could pay someone a lot less to just sneak into the changing rooms and drop a dictaphone to get the actual.
But
That
I
is
just thought, but like
Terrible idea.
all the other clubs need to do is just buy one of these. That's like cheap change,
Rich
isn't
people
it?
are t-
Get
yeah.
a player to stay in, like,
people are eating
and then
that
just
up,
keep an
don't they?
interest and be like,
To
okay.
get someone undercover, like I'm
Yeah,
remember reading the
exactly.
Secret Football and said a Premier League point's worth about 25 grand. Apparently not. It's got cheaper.
Yeah.
Apparently it's now 15 grand
So-
because if you're letting it can't be that deep surely.
Yeah.
You can't-
Apparently
we're going to play 4-4-2 today.
Apparently,
Aguero and Jesus playing up front.
So what we're doing today is we've got 4 defenders. At the
What we're
back.
going to do is kind of get the ball in the net more times than the other team.
No,
Apparently,
this genius move is we've got a goalkeeper and he's allowed to use his hands. When
He's going to
to
stop the ball game. Because we've got good.
This time we'll be
This one
boring.
actually works. The last model we had, he didn't work.
but yeah, apparently it's going to be sort of just explain his formation and stuff like that, and how they're going to try and win. But
It can't be that
We'll
because
see.
you can't. If you're
That's what
doing
he said.
a scout's job for him
I know.
and you're paying 15 grand, you might as well deal away with scouts and so on.
And I wanted to sort of what you make of these like tunnel clubs as well. Obviously, with Tottenham coming, and then City doing one. You know, it's quite an interesting. I don't know. It's quite
That's
a
cool.
weird.
It's
It
fair
looked,
play, like,
originally it looked really cool, but I was like, I would quite like to see maybe a fan be rewarded a season. You know, maybe a long-term season ticket, getting a chance to get in there because it's. You're so far away all the time, and then
funny you say about that. Watford have actually got some bloke. If he gets enough retweets, him and a random fan of his choosing will get to go to a Watford game next season and like box like full. Because Watford's like really done up all their like obviously what's the word, hospitality sort of thing, like for obviously people
I
paying.
think I'm going to
it's
box
very
next year at
extortionate.
Swindon, so I'm excited for that. I might
Oh,
queue for
yeah.
the Forest Green.
I nearly got
Ooh.
my godmother was going to buy me a box for a game for like I think it was Watford. It was either Watford Palace or Watford Tottenham around Christmas last year, but it was too expensive.
Yeah,
It is
imagine.
quite a lot.
Yeah, my cousin won a chance to get our hospitality
In your
quote unquote
box. Yeah.
box.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, if we can choose, then I'd like to go for the Forest Green one. That'd be quite good with a prawn sandwich brigade. I've never been over there in the 17, 18 years I've supported Swindon. So yeah, that'd be fun.
You know, I've got no issue against the Tunnel Club. Sounds like a cool thing for. Obviously, it's something I probably won't be going to do anytime soon. But for someone who is willing to pay that amount and has that amount at hand, cool experience, and it's another way for clubs. Where do they go during the game? I'm guessing they have seats as well. Because you wouldn't just be able to see the game from the tunnel. Would you?
Yeah, I don't know actually.
Probably just it would
And they
be
probably
part
just
of
got
the
allocated seats
executive
somewhere
box
else,
type
haven't
thing.
they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's another way for the club to earn a bit of money.
I guess like I
Fair game.
mean I don't understand what you're as a fan. What are you doing
just there on the
there.
grass.
Because all you're really doing is seeing what you could see them on the pitch when they go inside for like 10 more seconds.
It's one of those weird things that I thought.
It's gimmick, isn't it?
It's that you got like all these players outside, and then you've got all these people enjoying their meal inside. It's kind of I don't know. And there's this thin one, they can't see each other. It's kind of weird.
I mean, if you get tickets, you can just sit in the front row with a pucker pie.
Yeah, it seems. I think you're right. It seems a bit gimmicky. I just don't really get the point of it.
People will do it though.
Like, call me cynical, but I don't see the point of that.
I guess to be fair, if you are paying for like a box, it's a bit. If you're gonna have a meal before the game, I guess it's a bit nice to just have your meal there close to the players. It's something that's quite cool, being there like that close to the players.
But you're just going to see them walk through the tunnel.
And
well, the thing
is,
so on the way in, they'll be covering their mouths even more than they usually do because they want to see.
And you're going to be eating, so you're not going to be rushing up for the kickoff, are you? So you're going to be probably staying in the restaurant.
Like
before you're not going to be watching the game.
It would be okay before the game in yesteryear when you had Roy Keane and so shouting at each other and screaming each other.
Yeah, that's
it would
where
be good for a
punch
up for like a derby. But you know when you get all the players that are giving it all that, yeah, all right, mate, all right, how you doing, mate, giving the hugs before the game.
Jamie Vardy going, Danish friends.
I'm definitely on. Who's the pundit that was like, no, Souness probably. He's miserable. But I'm definitely on their side of like before a game. I'm not doing anything to like. As soon as you have arrived at the stadium, forget that. Yeah. Probably it might have been one of, but forget any of that. They are not your friends until you walk off the pitch. I do not like that.
Just a constant, just like
rubbish.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. I think that was all I wanted to discuss in terms of City. But yeah, I just thought it was quite a straight. It's kind of cool, but it's kind of a bit like.
It's a bit gimmicky.
Yeah, worth trying.
Not a fan.
I personally won't be paying for it.
And then the fixtures next Wednesday are released for 2017-18. So
who does everyone want to play in their first fixture of the season?
I want who's just come up. Who got promoted? Lincoln. Don't really want Lincoln.
Do you not? I think
I'd like someone rubbish or Mansfield. Someone like Mansfield early. You want to get someone just terrible like average rubbish teams. You want to say Mansfield like Accrington. Actually, Accrington did quite last year. So Mansfield, Accrington, the teams that just about stayed up that are just going to stay in League Two in August and September until you start getting your team fixed and ready. Then what I'd quite like is Forest Green around my birthday because that's when we start getting going.
Yeah.
What I'd love is probably to get straight in there, El Glossico, first game against Cheltenham.
Yeah.
It'd be a nice. In the past few years, the summer's been really beautiful sunshine. And that's where you start to get sort of, I don't know, good vibes to the season, and it should be quite exciting. But usually Forest Green don't start very well because they lost the first game against Braintree this year. So we probably would rather have either someone, probably a harder team, because then if you lose, it doesn't seem so bad. Yeah. Whereas if you lose to,
I know it's a stupid kind of thing to say from my point of view, but I feel like a lot of teams aren't going to want us early.
Yeah.
Because, as silly as it sounds, we are one of the biggest teams in the league. Like, we are a bigger club than possibly, top of League Two. So, I think, not many people are going to want us early. So, I think we need to use that no one's going to really want us. Because, although, like you said, if you lose, you're going to think that doesn't matter. But if you play us and we say we come out or go and play and we hammer someone early, that's kind of going to do a bit of damage to the confidence.
It's funny because I think Watford actually start well. Like we have said, horrible set of fixtures at the start of last season with like the likes of Chelsea, Man U, City. We didn't expect to get any points, but we actually got quite a few, including that win against Man U. So maybe I would want someone good. I'd quite like to see Bournemouth actually, home to Bournemouth, just because that is sort of our little rivalry. So just something for the fans to get kicked. Because like now we've got a likeable manager and everyone's kind of excited. We've got that little buzz. So kind of coming back after, I think most Watford fans just had any emotion they had kicked out of them. Like this season. So get something to get a little bit of buzz, something to get behind the team. I think that'd be quite nice.
I think for in terms of United, I'd like to see them get Brighton because that'd be quite.
Yeah, it always happens
Brighton's
as well.
An interesting one.
Because someone said they'd like Watford Huddersfield or something. It's the first game of the season. I was like, and I'm not saying that there is a fix with the fixtures, but I swear every promoted team always ends up at a pretty large side or at least
Yeah.
one do. Or like one of them will get Arsenal without a doubt. It always seems to
I thought
happen.
you said large side.
Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get Brighton away to Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm quite excited to see Brighton get, actually. I forgot about our team.
Yeah, I know. Well. Finish uni now and the league
Whoops.
just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how. It'd be quite hard to get tickets, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Atletico tickets go on sale this week as well for their friendly. I quite fancy coming back there.
Is that who
No
they're
one else
playing?
buy tickets.
Is that who they're playing?
They got a pre-season friendly, yeah.
Because
No one else
I
buys
knew they
tickets.
didn't release it for ages. So.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw it coming on the set.
Cool. All right. Well, hope you've enjoyed this podcast, post-season podcast. Thank you, Jack.
Oh, thank you, mate. Good job presenting today.
Yeah, that's all right. Cheers. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, Liam.
And
Well
thank
done.
you for listening.
It's quite nice being a pundit. Just sit back and relax.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and we might be in the another episode in the next few weeks because we're still down here, I think.
We've got
most of
nothing better to do.
And we'll see if any big transfers happen. Then look out. We might be travelling somewhere. I doubt it for a video podcast, but I doubt it now.
Yeah,
So
who knows? Who knows? Like this transfer window, anything could
Don't
happen.
rule anything out, yeah.
Yeah. So cheers, and see you next time.